you're excited because we're going to be talking about wood element. It is spring season now, and in the spring season, we talk about wood element. So get ready and, think about if your pet meets some of these personality, behavioral, maybe even some physical characteristics.
Come on, all you doggies, won't you walk with me? I'm the puppet dog.
So I'm just going to say I have wood element surrounding me. I have a wood element dog, I have a wood element cat, and I have a wood element husband. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed in this. At the same time, my wood element dog is not happy that he's been left alone in a bedroom with the door shut. He's not thrilled about that. So you're probably going to hear him. And he's a wood element German Shepherd, so that even makes it more interesting. Wood element is part of the 5-element theory in traditional Chinese medicine. And also welcome everybody who's here. Hi. I don't know if I'm supposed to go by your first name. I know your first name, SK, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say it so I will just say hi, S. And I appreciate you being here and anyone else who is here. 5-element theory is really interesting. This is actually the final season. I've done all of them. This is the last one. And usually you would start with this one because it's spring. And wood element is all about rebirth, birth, renewal, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't start it like that. I started in the summer last year. So a little out of order, which is perfect for this show. Also, if you get anything out of this, please do subscribe, and share. It's how the show grows. It's the only way to do anything on YouTube. And they don't really help you out that much. So 5-element theory includes, so I can go by your real name. Okay. 5-element theory has, wood is the one we're in now because it's spring here in the United States. Wood, fire is the summer, earth is late summer, and then metal is autumn, and then, and then metal is autumn, and water is the winter season. Now we're in the spring. So in 5-element theory, each element is associated with different organ networks is how it's worded, different colors, emotions, tastes, sensory organs. And it just helps to kind of guide people in a more natural way to better understand what's going on with either themselves or their animals. Of course, this is the Animal Intuitive Show. I didn't even say that. I'm your host, Ann Angela Webb, and I am certified in animal acupressure, which is a part of traditional Chinese medicine. I'm also a professional animal communicator, an animal massage practitioner. I work with essential oils and energy work as well. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker, but that doesn't always come up on the show too much. So the 5 elements, they really help with figuring out how to balance energies in the body. It can contribute to everything from personality to health and well-being. So just to give a really brief, I'm not going to go heavy duty into any history or anything like that. We are going to do acupressure points too, as we more towards the end. But there is something called the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Medicine. It's an ancient treatise on health and disease, and it's said to have been written by the famous Chinese emperor. I hope I can say this right. I've tried to practice it, but I'm probably going to mess it up. But Huangdi, around 2600 BC. However, Huangdi is actually a semi-mythical figure, and the book probably dates from later, around 300 BC, and it might be a compilation of the writings of several authors. So in any case, it's a reference book for people who do things with, who practice traditional Chinese medicine, which includes acupressure. The book takes the form of a discussion that goes on between Huangdi and his doctor, and he inquires about health, disease, and how to heal, treatment. So the Yellow Emperor said, the principles of the principle of yin and yang is the foundation of the entire universe. It underlies everything in creation. So this is the yin yang symbol. Everyone's seen it. And it's all just kind of, it says it all. It's all about the light, the dark, the solid, the fluid. It's about balance. It kind of comes, and well, it does come from Taoist philosophy. So the key in Taoist philosophy to a long, healthy life is to follow the Tao, which is the natural way of the universe. And the concept is that health and illness are caused by an imbalance of yin and yang, and that they're influenced by 5 elements: water, fire, metal, wood, and earth. And they influence the organs of the body. And the organs of the body are thought to interact in ways that maybe to us now don't, they might seem a little odd to Western, if you're, if you really just do pretty much like Western medicine. When you really start digging into it, it makes sense, especially if you're somebody that appreciates kind of the natural flow of things and going with nature and following the way that you can kind of see, even just in the natural world, how things work and apply it to the human body. And we'll get more into that. So wood element is all about like the, life coming to life, going from being indoors to outdoors. As you think of spring, it's like that. You're going from being inside to outside. You're, interacting more with other people. Your pets are interacting with other people and other animals. There's more kind of, you think about life, essentially. It just kind of sums it up. The organ systems that relate to wood element are liver and gallbladder. Gallbladder is the dotted line, by the way, and that's the one that's the really long run. As you can see, it's running over here all the way behind the ear, all the way down, kind of drops down to the side of the body, along the ribs. It goes back along kind of the hips, pelvis, and then it curves along those hind legs, comes all the way down to the bottom there. And I'm going to show you one acupressure point on that meridian. I'm going to show you 2 acupressure points on the liver meridian, which is this dark line, the solid line, that starts here in the rib cage and kind of goes up and around, passes over the knee, along the side of the leg, and comes down. Okay, so wood element is, think about guts, decision making. That's an associated sort of characteristic. The people who have the liver and gallbladder type, the wood element type of personality, tend to be more like headstrong, confident, go forward, do work. Think about it: spring, rebirth, renewal, rising up, push up from the earth. Okay, so in traditional Chinese medicine, the way this is viewed is that these organs are responsible for the smooth flow of qi and blood in the body, and also can regulate emotions. So they also detoxify the body and make sure our nutrients are going where they're needed. And the strength of this element is one of thriving and growing. So if somebody has wood element as dominant in their personality, they tend to be somebody who's going forward, thriving, growing. They may, this may include an increase in status or roles. So if your pet is wood element, it's, you can kind of just apply some of these, characteristics to your pet. They tend to be the kind of animal that is going to be more of a leader. They're going to like to be athletic. They're going to be more, energetic, and also adventurous. I'm going to talk a little bit about the physical for a second. When things are going, well, the wood element tends to have good nails and claws. Those are, we call external manifestations. And strong tendons and ligaments. Some texts will talk more about like the muscles instead of tendons and ligaments. You see both. but you get the idea. So they tend to be, have strong legs, and also have bright, clear eyes. That's the sort of outer way that it's the way that you can recognize it coming kind of through them, as opposed to like the nails in the claws is a physical way, to look and see, but it's the opening, the sensory organ to the body that represents or is represented in wood element. They also tend to be more slender. So actually in people, they tend to be more of like a long face, body, and fingers, similar to a tree. Now, green is the color also. And this is sort of synonymous with wind. So wind, you think of spring. The nature of wood is like an easy movement in the wind. So, they're not going to be, they're going to be able to withstand wind, like a strong tree. They also may, just kind of going back to the personality too a little bit, they tend to be a personality that isn't going to mind the challenges. So if you go into like thinking about how this applies to an animal in life, practically, these are all when wood element is balanced. But if you have an animal, and you can also think about this as people too. Sometimes that helps when you're trying to understand this stuff, is to think about it as people first, or as yourself, like which element am I? And as I mentioned, you could go back and watch my other videos, and I'll have that link too. Either at the end, I'll have it up in the corner thing, or I'll have it in the description too. But I think it helps kind of sometimes to think more about it as people and then think about it as animals. That's just me, but an animal that is unbalanced or imbalanced when it comes to like the personality characteristics, if an animal's wood element is imbalanced, they can be more angry, sometimes anxious. But anger is associated with liver chi stagnation. So chi is the life force energy in the body. So if that's stagnated, it kind of can cause this backup. And if you think about it, that can cause anger. You can't release it. And the way to help with that, when you're dealing with an animal or a person who's more, has the wood element out of balance, the liver, gallbladder imbalance, is to get out in nature, to recharge, to be amongst trees and greenery. Take time to relax, maybe some essential oils diffusing. Sometimes these individuals can be kind of like OCD. They might have all this energy and power, but it's not very well controlled. It can be like, all over the place. And that can end up looking like OCD. They can be sort of obsessive and compulsive, trying to get control, but it's going like out of hand. They can also be ambivalent too, when it's like in a weakened state, and they might need some purpose given to them to help them to become more focused and to have that job, so that they have that something they can put their energy and focus into. They can be not sharing. They can be domineering if it's out of balance, if wood element is out of balance. However, also another thing you can do to help balance them is to take them to classes, like an animal that needs something to focus on and to have a job, like agility, or some just sort of training, like a work-related training, something where they really get their energy out. Maybe those barn hunt type things. Internally, some of the issues that can be going on physically, they may have migraines, pain, tension, stiffness, especially in the neck, shoulders, and sides of the body. So if you think about that, going back to our diagram, look at where these meridians run. Okay. Neck, shoulder, sides of the body. You can also have difficulty with leg too, the trunk of the body. And then also dry, cracked nails. Does my cursor work here? I don't think it shows up, but I'm pointing at the paws. Dry, cracked nails. Also TMJ, attention deficit issues, excessive sighing and indigestion, muscle spasms. Remember I said it can be related to muscle, or tendon and ligament, sometimes considered muscle. Reproductive issues, digestive problems, eye problems, toxic issues, and hepatitis, gallstones. Okay, I'm going to get to that question just a second, Sinead. After just one moment. I do see that. Now, something to keep in mind is when you're thinking about, okay, what perhaps element am I, or what is my animal? And it's really the dominant one. So a lot of times there's more than just one. It's not always just that you could have a couple of elements that influence you, but there's usually one dominant one. And sometimes that will relate to your birth time of year. So actually my husband's born in late January, so but he's from Los Angeles, so California, so that, I guess spring, it's kind of starting a little bit earlier there than here. I mean, we're now we're in spring. We just started spring a few days ago here on the East Coast. So, that kind of fits for him. My cat, Tierna. Oh, Tierna's my cat that passed last year. Wrong cat. Our cat, Tierna wasn't really what element. But our cat, Gia, is what element, I believe. I think we've had her now since October 31st. And that's what I'm sussing out. She just turned 2 on March 22nd, and I'm pretty sure she's what element. Because she's so little, she doesn't really have any obvious physical issues. So it's kind of a little bit like, you're trying to kind of figure it out. And I'm basing it more on personality and body type. I'm going to be using her as a model. You'll see some videos I have of her. Is she showing up in the video? I'm looking at my page here. Let me see. She's right behind me. There she is. Okay, so you have a lot of dark shadows today. It's terrible when they really are bad with the lights. If I don't have the lights right, it's every crevice on your face is filled with a dark. It's just lovely. I need one of those makeup people, beauty channel people, to come and get me ready for this show every week. I usually kind of run in here, I'll throw myself together. I'm more focused on getting the work ready, so especially if I'm doing something prepared like this. Anyway, this is not a beauty show. So anyway, Gia is wood, probably. You can see her up there. She's on her tower. I did lower the tower this week. Ooh, this is getting furry. I need to fix this. But I did lower her tower. I switched it because in other episodes you couldn't see her. The tower is the second. Her other one is higher, so you wouldn't really know what I was talking about. She'd be up here, Now you can see her. Okay. So, and my dog Kane is wood element. And I forgot to bring a picture of him, but I'm not featuring him as the model, but he is a German Shepherd, and he's a big, really into focused work. He does very well, responds very well to training. Now that German Shepherd, his birthday was last week, so also kind of falling into that idea of the birthday. He does very well with focus and training, and when he doesn't have that outlet, more so than other dogs, he struggles. He can get irritable, barks a lot. And yes, that's a he's a working dog breed, but I would say probably more so this characteristic of his than some. There's some that just, even though they're a working dog breed, they're probably not going to be quite as like pushed to be, to have their like energy focused. And it's interesting because he actually had an injury that I've talked about in other episodes that kind of permanently affects his right arm. So he can't be quite as athletic as he might need to be to get that energy out. So it's especially challenging for him, and it means we have to be even more proactive about like helping him to focus that energy. It's a bit of a challenge, but okay. So, and sometimes there's just these interesting little coincidences, if you want to call them that. But like my husband is, his specialty is, he's a contractor, but his specialty is wood, like carpentry. So that's interesting. And my grandfather, I don't know his birthday, but he's someone in my family that's another wood person, but he's since passed. If my mother's watching, maybe she could tell me if he would be springtime birthday. I don't remember. So there are other ways to balance them. So there's activity, there's things like essential oils, as I mentioned. You might want to with a wood element animal. I like to work intuitively with essential oils. There are plenty of, even studied things, applications for certain types of oils. But I work as intuitively as possible. And with animals, definitely we want to be using a high quality essential oil. And we want to dilute often with animals, especially the smaller animals. So, but in general, you might want to be thinking about more of a wood oil, like vetiver or sandalwood, cedarwood. Definitely look into how to use them appropriately with animals. I have a handbook on my website. It's free. You can download it as one source. And also for just helping to move chi in the liver, there's certain oils like lavender, peppermint, bergamot, chamomile. Those can be helpful with that. Now, definitely you want to do our research. You want to make sure you using them properly. Yes, you can use essential oils with animals, cats too, but it's just a matter of using them the right way. And I have episodes about that too. This isn't about that, but and also there's a time. Oh, my grandfather's birthday is February 3rd. So in Texas, or he was from Oklahoma, maybe that is kind of getting into spring, wood element. So that's interesting. Okay, so the clock for traditional Chinese medicine is based on a 24-hour clock, and each organ system has a 2-hour window where it like dominates, and it's actually a good time to do acupressure if you can. With wood element, gallbladder and livers are 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. for gallbladder, so you maybe aren't going to be doing acupressure at that time, and livers 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. There is a theory, though, that, and it doesn't mean these points aren't good to work at other times. I'm just saying that, it can be beneficial to work them in their window there, their 2-hour window. But there's a theory that doing it at the opposite can be good too, like the 12-hour opposite time. So 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for gallbladder, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. for liver. Okay. And then also food can be a way to help with balancing the body out. And I'm not going to go into that. You could do some research on that. I have seen where things like eggs, chicken can be good for what element? When we're talking about animals, focusing on the meats just first, what they tend to go for, the proteins with cats and dogs, especially. But that isn't my specialty, so I don't go too far into that. There are some websites out there. I've even seen some companies now that are making food specifically based on the 5 elements, which is interesting. I did want to talk about, I was going to bring one up and kind of show their site and see what, they had in it and everything. But I had emailed them with a question about where they get their ingredients, and they didn't get back to me in time for this. And I don't want to talk about something that I can't kind of stand behind. So without knowing that, I didn't want to get into it. Excuse me. There are also herbs, like I did find this website that I thought was pretty interesting, and I'm going to show you that because this is helpful. I'm trying to find that part of the article. There it is. Okay. So he talks about cleansing the pet's livers, and we don't usually focus on that in the West, he says. But the liver is a digestive organ responsible for detoxifying. Remember, I mentioned toxins. Detoxing is related to liver. And storing over the years, the impurities they can clog up the liver, becomes sluggish. The liver does not like processed food, and this is a major health implication when feeding heat processed pet food to dogs and cats. So adding beets, carrots, or mustard greens to a fresh, wholesome diet can benefit the liver. Herbs like turmeric, black pepper, basil, and dill keep the liver health, and herbs that cleanse the unhealthy liver, dandelion, milk thistle, and Oregon grapefruit. And then he does mention a little more food. Lettuce, cucumbers, seaweeds, and celery will also help detox the liver. But I would encourage you, I'll actually put his link in the description if you want to go check this out more in detail. Okay, so liver 1. This is Gia's right paw. I know, I'm sorry about the picture, but see, that's her little tail, and that's her paw. I can freeze it here. When I get the paw in view, I'm going to pause it. Okay. So, all right. So this is liver 1. It's also called Da Dun, and it's, you don't necessarily need to know this, but it's a Jing well point, which is like they go along the paws, and they're important points for balancing. They can be good for, like, if something's off balance in the meridians and you want to do it kind of more like quickly, like, okay, let's attack this. So Jing well point, and it's the concept of like the well, the bottom of the body, the paw. The Jing well point regulates and tonifies the liver. It helps to spread liver qi, and it helps to contain the blood. So some of the benefits are estrus issues, urinary incontinence, all kinds of bleeding. So I know it's a little hard to see in this video because of her fur, but this is located on the lateral or the outside of the second. Okay, this is the hind paw. Okay, so the lateral side of the second digit, which is the most inner toe, and if there's no hind dew claw, which a lot of them don't have, it would be the first claw there, and it would be I know it's a little confusing. Sometimes it's even, as I'm looking at it, like in reverse as I'm talking, it kind of messes me up. But as you're looking at this is her right paw, okay, but it's her hind one. And you're looking at, so the most inner digit, and it's the most inner digit claw, but it's the outer side of that. So, like, I'm going to use my thumb as an example. Instead, we're talking about the paw, but I'm going to show you my thumb. So it's the most inner digit, but it's the outer side of it, like going towards the outside of the body. I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little confusing. So that is liver 1. And, so this might be something that you would use to just, regulate and tonify the liver. It's a good general point. It spreads liver chi. If you think that your pet's a little off balance, it helps to just spread it, diffuse it kind of, get it moving throughout the body. And then if your pet is, I'm going to show you how to do this too. But if your pet is having any physical issues that are of any concern, I am not a vet, so please take your animal to a veterinarian. It doesn't, hurt also before you do any acupressure, although, doing acupressure at home is relatively risk-free, and I will always tell you if there's some reason to not use a point, like there's a couple points you don't use in pregnancy. I have a few in my videos. But I am telling you, check with your vet if you have any concerns about their health. Make sure to do that. And always, feel free to, check with them before you even do acupressure, if you want to be doubly extra careful. So when we do acupressure, we are going to press gently on that point, and it's right on the outer edge of the nail bed, so the claw. You're going to press gently for about 30 to 60 seconds, and you can do a little circle even. I really like to work intuitively, so if you just kind of listen, feel how your pet is responding to the acupressure, when the energy has shifted, which is what you want. When an animal sighs, sometimes they'll roll, lay down or roll over or pant or lick their lips. There's all sorts of indications that it's moved, and it's usually just some little shift, some little subtle shift normally, although sometimes they will get up and walk away. I'm going to show you a video of Gia reacting in a different way than in that video. So, and when they do that, you can come back to it. If you do it for 30 to 60 seconds and then they walk away, that's probably, you're probably done with it for, a while. You can do it the next day. If there's something going on a little bit more, concerning, that, you've checked out and everything's, it's okay to have them at home, but like maybe they're having some kind of issue that's ongoing, chronic, and you want to kind of like start the first day doing it 2, maybe 3 times a day, you can do that. Just watch and be intuitive about it. Watch and see their response to it. Animals, especially cats, are very clear about what they need, and they'll show you if they don't want you doing it. And they'll show you if they're liking it and they want it. They're very intuitive about what they need. So you can do a circular motion, or you can just press on that point. Sometimes when you're dealing with the paws, they can be a little bit, testy about that. But when it comes to things that benefit them, a lot of times animals, and especially when they're things like this, energy work, even animals that sometimes don't react so well to having things like their paws touched will react better. But just be aware of how your animal's responding. And, you just, once they're done, they're done. Okay, so, and it's always nice when you approach them too, to make sure that you yourself are very grounded. Take a deep breath, exhale before you approach them. Make sure you're not like all up in your head, especially if you're concerned about something that's going on with them. Usually animals don't like that energy, and it's not necessarily really good for them to have us putting our worry on them. So make sure you're in check before you approach them and work with them. You know, you might want to do some of these points on yourself before you do them on your pet. And that way you can be better prepared for helping them. And by the way, shameless plug, I have a video coming out soon, a downloadable class. I'm going to be showing more with using acupressure for helping your pets with animal communication. And so part of doing acupressure with animals is that we can pick up what's going on with them better sometimes when we're physically touching them and really in that contact with them, especially if you're new to or not as confident about your animal communication. Sometimes when you're actually physically touching them and you're just sitting and being peaceful with them and doing something like acupressure, it can help you to better pick up on how they're feeling and what's going on with them. And oftentimes it's just sort of like a sudden thought will come into your head that, oh, I hadn't thought about it that way. Or, you know, a different perspective that you realize is the animal giving you their thoughts and their feelings. So when you're doing acupressure, just be very still and take advantage of that opportunity to really connect in with them and listen to what they're saying and how they're feeling, how they're experiencing. You know, maybe they are having some behavioral issues, like somebody I know. And sometimes doing acupressure with them can help you to connect in and bond with them. And it helps to sort of cross the bridge the gap, I don't know, when things are going on that are sometimes challenging in their behavior. So speaking of which, on to our next point. Okay, so this is liver 3. It's my sweet angel. So this is also called Tai Chong or Great Surge. So as you can tell, Gia wasn't so thrilled to have me working on this point. That once again, this is Gia in a calm state. Gia can be a little bit temperamental. We love and adore her. Sometimes we call her Karen. She's a large animal. And so, you know, we talked about wood element, having like strong legs, strong body. She's long, tall. She's a female cat. And the last time we checked, she was 11 pounds, which is big. She's 2 and they can keep growing. She's part Norwegian forest cat, we're pretty sure. So they can keep growing. So she's a larger animal. She's extremely strong. I was trying to get a video of her like jumping and I failed to do that before I got on here. I meant to do it and forgot. But she can just like pull herself up on anything and this just got this strong body. Like this tower will sometimes move and she likes things the way she likes them. She likes things to be the way she wants them to be. And she's extremely athletic and playful. Like she wants to be focused on a toy or running around and doing something, climbing, like a lot of the time when she's awake. And she gets very frustrated when we don't comply with what she wants. And this sounds like I love her dearly. We have wonderful moments. She's been waking. I've been having her next to me when I wake up sometimes in the morning. So that's really nice. And, you know, she's going to mellow. She's only 2 as well. But some of these, like, they're cute, these personality. I mean, she's a cat, so you're not like angry. But she can be slightly, you know, she can get into things. So this is all part of that like wood personality. Like she can, if you don't keep her occupied with things that you would like her to play with, she can start to get into things that you do not want her to get into to keep herself occupied. So going back to this, the liver 3 point, I'm going to play the video again. I've like forced her to stay there and endure this terrible experience. but she stopped as I was doing it. So that told me that it was a good thing, that perhaps the energy was beginning to shift for her, pressing on this acupressure point. So that point is good for releasing physical and emotional tension, to reduce stress and anger, depression. It can help with blood pressure and pain, including menstrual cramps. I'm going to show you that point. I can't really, let me see if I can show you. Oops, we're going into another point here. Stop, nope. We'll go back to me. Okay, there we go. So that point is located, now that's her left hind paw, okay? So you're going towards the inner left hind paw, and it's between the second and third metatarsal bones. So those are those little bones where the claws, or like the sort of the toes of the cat, come to a point together. And as mentioned, because she does not have that outer like dew claw that a lot of them don't have, you'd be talking about her most outer claw and then the one to the left of that. Thank you, Sinead. And I am going to come to your question too. Okay, so let me know if that's clear, because I don't know if this is clicking with everybody looking at these pictures. I previously have used just drawings, but I thought this would be live action helpful, but I don't know. I'm hoping this is helpful. So the final point that I'm going to show you is gallbladder 34. Okay, so gallbladder 34, I'll play it for you first just to see. This is her left knee, Gia's left knee.
So this is her knee. So we're going to go.
Wait, no, this is her right knee. That's a mistake. So it's the top of, like, if you think about your calf, and then you have your fibula bone, and you're going to the top of it, so it's like the bottom of the knee, and then you follow that down slightly on the side of it, and there's like a little depression. It goes inward, and that's gallbladder 34. And I'd like to show you that again, but it's just, I don't know why it's not. I think it would help to see it again, but that point is on the gallbladder meridian. So gallbladder 34, it's an influential point, it's called. So it influences the tendons, and it's specifically for pain in the lower extremities. So think about the location of it. It's near the knee, so it's like between the bottom of the leg, the top of the leg. And the tendons can get almost like freeze up during spring after they've been somewhat dormant during the winter. So this point can help with that, and it can regulate and tonify liver and gallbladder, can spread liver chi, so also helping, as I mentioned before, it can help to like move the chi through the body if it's stagnated. It can also extinguish what's called liver wind. So the way that traditional Chinese medicine views wind is like a pathogen. So the wind outside of you can come into you through the lung, through the nose, through the mouth. It can affect you through your skin even, and it can like rattle you. So in some cases, liver and gallbladder, the wood element, can be something that is the cause of seizures even. That's, of course, not always the case, but it's something that in traditional Chinese medicine, you look at it and you think about seizures like that shaking. And And so when they talk about extinguishing, putting out that wind that gets kind of trapped in the body, and the springtime is the season for that. There's more wind in the spring season. Okay. And this point can help with the flow of blood and chi in the limbs, so that energy, chi, life force energy. Hypertension it can help with. It can also help with vomiting. And then, of course, liver and gallbladder disorders, stomach and liver chi, stagnation, and just general pain relief as well. So it's a good overall point. And if, once again, we go back to look at how this point is such a large point in the body, like how it runs through so much of the body. Think about how that's going to help, accessing that point can help with a lot of different things. So, and you're using a point on the meridian, accessing that meridian, a point on that meridian can help with a lot of different things, because it's helping with what the point is next to. So it's literally helping with the leg, I showed you the knee, it's helping that area, that the limb. But because it's on, it can affect the whole meridian, because you're accessing a point on the meridian, and then it gets even more focused, where it's saying an influential point for tendons and ligaments. Hi, good night owl. Good to see you. Oh, don't worry that you're late. It's great that you're working in the garden. That's a good thing. So, green is the color, and it's wood, like the tree, like the little, when a plant grows, you've got the brown, the wood, but it's also the leaves we think of too. So that's why green is the color. So, anything else on that point? And if there's any questions about any of these, just let me know. And I'm just seeing if there's anything I missed here. So I just want to kind of reiterate that, and also the sound is crying. So think about Gia just now, how she's she's vocalizing. She often will cry. That's how if she wants food or anything, she makes a lot of vocalization with crying. And so does Kane. As much as he's a big, tough, German Shepherd, he cries a lot. He whines a lot. He's kind of a baby. So those that are getting out of control in leadership, too pushy, too, compulsive, or difficulty containing energy, or if you notice that they're more ambivalent, they're not focused, these are all just signs of imbalance in the wood element. And if anger's out of control, that's a definite sign of it. Now, once again, always check with your vet. We want to make sure there's, everything's being tended to properly. I prefer holistic vets. That's me personally. I find that they're, more likely to understand this perspective on things, and it's just easier for me. They speak my language, so I find that they also have more solutions to things, and the way they view things is that the body is out of balance, instead of everything being like the disease model where it's doom and gloom, and it's always, there's a lot of medications that have a lot of side effects, and I find that trying to, if I can, heal things with my animals using herbs, I prefer to do that and avoid the side effects. So, you have to work with a holistic vet for that kind of a thing, obviously. Also, another thing to be aware of is if there's something going on with an imbalance in wood element, that can happen when there's the environment can affect wood element types a lot. So if an animal is in a home where something's going on, if there's some kind of relationship issues going on, if things aren't getting back in balance, you're working on it, things aren't working. It can be that there's something going on within the home that needs to be addressed to help the animal. You're asking, are acupressure and aquapressure the same? They're using the same points, and gosh, for some reason I've had my vet use aquapressure with my cat, but I'm kind of blanking on the process. It's like they're using injections, right? Like, am I right about that? Needle injections, but they're on the acupressure point. Am I getting that right? I don't know why I'm like blanking on that, because I've had it with my cat, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I know they are related, because I know that it has something to do with them using the pressure points that, we traditionally tend, I didn't even say this in the beginning, but a lot of people think first of acupuncture, which you're using the same points with acupressure as acupuncture. You're just not using needles with acupressure. So you can help your pet at home, which is nice. Okay, so I think that's pretty much my using needles down the points, yes, but infused with vitamins. Yeah, that was right. That was the other things. They'll use like some kind of vitamin on that point. Yeah, they're just injecting the point with something. I found it to be very helpful, actually. My cat had it with she injected a B vitamin, which one I don't, B12, and it was very helpful for her, I found. So you asked, Sinead, okay, so your cat has skin tags, they're just coming out, and you're wondering what that's all about. It could be, if they're just starting to come out like recently, it's this season, it could be toxins, and they might need some kind of liver support clearing. So look into that website that I mentioned could be helpful for that, looking at what supplements could be helpful. I just totally forgot. Dennis Thomas. Dennis Thomas. Yeah, Dr. Dennis Thomas. You might want to check out his site and see about that. It's kind of B12, yeah. It's kind of, when you're looking at, an animal through traditional Chinese medicine, you're taking various things into consideration. So something to do with the skin, it can be a few different things. There's a couple of things that go on in the body that could be a couple things. Like I mentioned, seizures. That can also happen with skin. So you have to take a few. It can get a little bit more complex. Not impossible to figure out, but you might have to look at a couple things to see what part of the body, what organ system might be unbalanced, imbalanced, and could be influencing that part of the body. Yeah, there's always more when it comes to traditional Chinese medicine, there's always more to learn. It's like a lifelong process of learning this. There's just always more, and it's just so interesting. Like if you have an interest in learning and you like things that you can really dive into, traditional Chinese medicine is one of those deals that there will always be something to learn. There's some people that specialize in just the tongue, like diagnosing through the tongue. If you go to an acupuncturist, they will look at your tongue. They'll take your blood pressure. Or if I'm working with an animal, I'll do that too. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions about anyone's pets. But I, just want to say I appreciate, if no one had wanted me to talk to their animal, I appreciate, everyone being here and sticking through any tech issues too. And, try this at home. Let me know in the comments if it was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. And, also if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell so you can be reminded. You're supposed to get reminded of future episodes. It's actually my wedding anniversary next week, so I won't be here. My husband has requested my presence on that day. So I don't know if I'm going to do a pop-up one like earlier in the week or something like that, or I have to kind of look at it. I'm kind of seeing it as a good opportunity maybe to do some catch up on some things. Like I mentioned, I have this class coming out and I need to get going with getting that all set up with the dates of recording that and everything. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be here next week, but I hope everybody has a good end of the month, and let me know how this went for you. And thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful evening. Good night.